Let's say it plainly without sugarcoating it. People don't respect you. You feel it even if you're unwilling to admit it. They don't openly despise you. They don't blatantly ignore you. No. It's worse. They tolerate you. They smile out of politeness, listen out of obligation, and you, like many, mistake that for respect. But deep down, you know, if you disappeared tomorrow, life would go on uninterrupted, without a single ripple. And do you know why? Because you never drew a line. You were never predictable. You never projected authority. You were adaptable. And in this world, those who bend too much eventually break. Here's the brutal truth. Respect isn't begged for. It's imposed. Not with shouting, not with violence, but with presence, with clarity, with a cold, calculated strategy even Machiavelli himself would envy. Respect doesn't arise from kindness or affection. It is born from well-managed fear, from consistency in your actions, from ruthless clarity in your boundaries. But here lies the issue. Most people have boundaries as vague as their sense of self. They contradict themselves, justify their weaknesses, give in, and then complain that no one takes them seriously. Let me be blunt. If people don't respect you, it's because they're not afraid to disappoint you. And if they're not afraid of letting you down, it's because you've never made the consequences clear. You forgive without follow-through. You offer second, third, even fourth chances until your standards become a joke. Machiavelli spelled it out. Whoever seeks to be loved and feared simultaneously ends up being disrespected. Why? Because they try to appease while imposing, and that never works. True respect stems from one thing: predictability. Real authority begins with one rule: consequences. Not emotional, not impulsive, not angry, but predictable. As reliable as gravity. If someone crosses you, they should know something will happen. And no, you don't need to yell or threaten. You just need to act. Once, twice. That's enough. People learn quickly when outcomes are non-negotiable. But you punish with words, with glances, and contradict yourself immediately. Every time you do that, your authority crumbles a little more. Why do some people speak and the room goes silent? Because everyone knows they don't waver. Because everyone understands that once you cross their line, there's no going back. But punishment alone isn't enough. You also need to master something subtler: the fear of regret. It's not about making people fear you. It's about making them fear disappointing you. Knowing that if they do, you won't yell, won't humiliate, won't stage a scene. You'll simply erase them. No drama, no announcement, just absence. And that silence, it echoes louder than any presence you could force. Make your absence feared. Let them know if they lose you, you won't destroy them. You'll erase them, like they never existed, and that hurts more. Here's where we separate a true leader from a tyrant. Offer redemption. One chance. One opportunity to make it right. Clear, limited, final. People respect those who punish, but they admire those who offer a way back. Just one. More than that, it's not forgiveness. It's weakness. Someone who fails once and learns grows stronger. But someone who fails 3 times and stays, they're using you. Give a second chance, but make sure they know it's the last. And don't say it, show it. Respect isn't declared, it's built, with actions that leave no room for doubt. Break. Time ones. Most people fail here. They punish with anger, reward out of pity, break their own rules in the name of love, friendship, compassion, or fear of being alone. And what does that earn them? The reputation of being unreliable, manipulable, weak. Because that's what you are when you can't stand by your decisions. When your hand trembles. When you make exceptions. Authority isn't blind rigidity. It's ruthless consistency. And in a world where most can't keep a single promise, that's raw power. Look around you. Who truly commands respect? Not the friendliest, not the most charming, the most consistent. the one who always responds the same, who never betrays themselves. People don't respect charm, they respect structure. They feel safe with someone who doesn't change opinions like the weather, who doesn't forgive today what they condemned yesterday, who won't embrace you tomorrow if they cast you out today. Those people leave a mark, not with their words, but with their unwavering stance. Because true respect is born when others know exactly what to expect from you and choose not to cross that line. Respect isn't an emotion, it's a strategy. And you have to choose. Be liked by everyone or be respected by the right ones, because you can't have both. Those who seek approval always end up yielding, and those who yield lose their authority. The worst thing you can do is trade your principles for acceptance. That's the perfect recipe to be silently despised. They'll tell you they admire you, but they'll use you. They'll say they value you, but they'll walk over you. Because if you don't impose respect, you become a doormat. Simple as that. There's a difference between being feared and being respected. Fear is useful, but fragile. Respect, when built on consistency, is indestructible. But it takes cold cruelty, the kind that holds your boundaries even when it hurts, even when you want to forgive, even when you're alone. Because that's when your power is tested, when no one's watching, and you still do the right thing. Not for others, for yourself. Because you know, breaking your own rules is the beginning of the end. Respect begins the moment you refuse to betray yourself. And here's a truth that few dare to face. Most people don't lose respect because of weakness. They lose it because of hunger, a hunger for attention, for validation, for acceptance. And in that silent need, they begin trading away their strength little by little. With every "it's fine," they whisper when it's not. With every smile offered to someone who doesn't deserve it. With every moment, they stay quiet to avoid making others uncomfortable, even if it means swallowing their pride. Here's the gut-punching reality: the respect you refuse to give yourself, others will subtract from you. If you act like your presence is cheap, people will treat it that way. And the most brutal part? The hunger for validation is a bottomless pit. Every time you sell a piece of your power for a dose of approval, you feel worse, so you seek more and more until it consumes you. This is the loop of the weak, the ones who lose. And it doesn't matter how smart you are, how talented you may be, how good your intentions are. If you don't master this hunger, you'll remain surrounded by people who don't respect you, because they can smell that you need them more than they need you. Here's a Machiavellian truth. Power isn't measured by how much you depend on others. It's measured by how much they depend on you. And that isn't built through false superiority or posturing. It's built with value, real value, the ability to say no, the courage to walk away when you're not appreciated, the strength to ignore a message that only shows up when it's convenient for the other person, the decision to choose silence over drama. Respect feeds off detachment, the kind of detachment that's rare, the kind that allows you to leave without noise when the situation turns sour. Because the one who can walk away holds the power. The one who begs becomes a shadow. And we weren't made to be shadows. Let's go deeper. Why is it so hard to maintain personal authority over time? Because it's exhausting to uphold a standard in a world that constantly tries to lower it. Because living with clear rules makes you a threat to those who live by excuses. Because being consistent doesn't just cost you energy, it costs you relationships, and that's where most people break. They want respect, but aren't willing to pay the price. They don't understand that to gain authority, you must lose comfort, that the price of being respected is high, but the cost of being ignored is devastating. So they fall, not in a dramatic collapse. No, they fall slowly, through small compromises, through misplaced silences, through a soft, just this once, that becomes their undoing. And that's how respect dies, not with a bang, but with a whisper, with omissions, with decisions dressed up as diplomacy that are actually fear, wrapped in politeness. Want to know? Another deadly mistake? Excessive empathy. Misplaced empathy is a poison that shatters your center. It makes you understand everyone, except yourself. It makes you justify the unjustifiable. They're having a hard time. They didn't mean it. It's not really their fault. And you? How many times did you use your own bad day as an excuse to cross someone's line? Never, right? Because you know what's right doesn't change depending on how you feel. But others, you let them off the hook. Why? Because you still don't know your worth. Respect isn't about how much you understand others. It's about how firmly you stay true to yourself, even while understanding them. That's the difference between a leader and a martyr. The leader understands but doesn't betray themselves. The martyr gives everything, justifies everything, burns themselves so others can warm their hands. And here's another layer no one talks about: body language. It's not a cliché. It's pure psychology. The way you walk into a room, the rhythm of your speech, the silence you hold without anxiety, the eye contact you don't break, even the way you breathe, all of it broadcasts who you are before you say a word. Do you know who commands respect without speaking? The one who has nothing to prove. The one who sits calmly as if time bends around them. The one who looks, not to seek approval, but to observe. The one who doesn't laugh out of politeness. Because that sends a silent message. I'm not here to please you. I'm here because I choose to be. And that commands respect. Break. Time what ones. True leaders aren't loud. They're substantial. Their presence carries weight. Not because they intimidate, but because they don't buzz with the social anxiety that drives the masses. Because they don't chase acceptance. Because they've made peace with solitude. And that gives them an advantage in any room, any meeting, any conflict. So ask yourself, how many times have you betrayed yourself just to avoid making others uncomfortable? How many times have you pretended to agree, stayed silent, or softened? Your boundary just to keep the peace? And what did you get in return? Nothing. Because people don't respect those who bend. They respect those who stand firm. Now let's address one of the most overlooked yet dangerous forms of respect erosion: over-explaining. That compulsion to justify every choice, every limit, every no, as if the world were entitled to a detailed account of your boundaries. Why do you do it? Because you fear seeming cold. You fear judgment. But ironically, the more you explain, the more authority you bleed. Those who explain too much signal uncertainty. Those who justify everything come across as begging for approval. And true respect? It's built on what doesn't need to be said. There is power in silence. There is strength in a plain, unembellished no. If something doesn't serve you, you walk away. No need to convince anyone. Think of someone you genuinely respect. Do you picture them constantly defending their decisions? Trying not to hurt feelings? Asking for permission to maintain standards? Of course not. You respect them because they don't flinch. When they say, "This is how it is," you know that's how it is. No drama, no confusion. Now let's touch on a modern plague: digital omnipresence. You're always reachable, always responding, always active, always online. And worst of all, you do it out of fear. Fear that someone might be upset if you don't reply fast enough. You've become a prisoner of your own accessibility, believing that rapid response equals care. But it doesn't. It equals predictability. And predictability, when not paired with firmness, becomes disposability. People respect what they can't always access. They respect what requires intention to reach, what doesn't respond at the tap of a screen, what doesn't conform to the algorithms of attention. Being always available makes you wallpaper, background noise, and when you fade into the background, they stop treating you like the main character of your own life. Let's get into a concept that few understand: perceived value. And no, it's not tied to your talent, intelligence, or kindness. It's tied to how you manage your scarcity. If you're everywhere, if you comment on everything, if you say yes to every invitation, your perceived value shrinks. Not because you lack worth, but because there's no contrast, no edge. So, who creates impact? The one who appears with precision. The one who isn't part of everything, but whose presence realigns the room. The one who's silent for days, but whose voice reshapes the air when it finally speaks. Because their presence isn't constant, it's curated. Their energy isn't scattered, it's reserved. And this brings us to another critical point. Your energy is not renewable. Most people give it away as if they had infinite reserves. They burn it in pointless conversations. They waste it explaining their vision to people incapable of seeing. They spend it on connections that give nothing in return but emotional crumbs. And what happens then? They burn out. They go gray. And cruelly, people respect them even less once they dim. Your energy cannot serve everyone. It must be deliberate, strategic, surgical, and yes, it'll hurt. It'll mean disappointing people, leaving messages unanswered, ignoring calls, being called distant, cold, arrogant. But it'll also mean remaining whole. And that's worth more than any cheap adjective thrown your way. Let's dig deeper. Respect is also built in how you treat your time. Those who respect their time teach the world to do the same. The person who's always late, always rescheduling, always checking. If they can make it sends one loud message, they don't even take themselves seriously. If you can't be punctual with your goals, why would anyone else believe in them? Punctuality isn't just about being on time. It's about showing up where you said you'd be, when you said you would, for yourself. If you claim you'll hit the gym at 7 but end up scrolling until 8, what are you showing the world? That even you find your word negotiable. And here's something even more sensitive. You lose respect when you beg for love. Yes, you read that right. Begging for love is one of the saddest ways to drain your authority. You do it when you tolerate minimal effort, when you celebrate scraps of affection, when you act like breadcrumbs are feasts. The problem isn't that they don't love you as you deserve. It's that you accept their version of love, even when it breaks you. Respect begins with how you allow yourself to be loved, with what you define as acceptable, with how you respond when someone falls short. And no, it's not about being demanding out of pride. It's about knowing your worth and refusing to shrink. Every time you accept less, the world takes note. And next time, they'll offer even less. Those who truly command respect know this by heart. Love without standards isn't love, it's attachment. And attachment isn't respected, it's exploited. Here's another brutal truth. Admiration comes before respect. And no one admires the person who hands themselves over with no limits. The world respects those who hold back, who have power but choose restraint, who could explode but observe, who could beg but walk away. That kind of self-control is magnetic. And that's not just philosophy, it's biology. The human brain associates steadiness with leadership. The limbic system favors those who radiate certainty over those who radiate need. We're animals, and animals follow the one who leads with presence, not the one who trembles to please. So here's the close for now. Your respect isn't rooted in what you say, how you look, or what you've achieved. It's rooted in how you manage conflict, how you stay grounded when everything shakes, how you say, "This isn't enough for me," even when you're dying, to stay. And if you do this right, you won't have to shout, or beg, or fight. People will know it in the first few seconds. That's real power, and no one can take it from you, unless you give it away. So the final question is simple. Will you keep giving it away? Or will you finally wear your crown, in silence, unless you give it away? So the final question is simple. Will you keep giving it away? Or will you finally wear your crown in silence? Now lean into this next uncomfortable truth. Respect is not permanent. It is not something you earn once and keep forever. It is not a fixed prize. It is a living thing, and it demands daily maintenance. It's a war you fight silently every day, with every choice, every reaction, every standard you uphold or fail to. Most people lose respect not through grand betrayals, but through small cracks. A boundary they didn't reinforce. A yes they didn't want to say. A moment of weakness they excused in the name of compassion. But the truth? Compassion without standards becomes complicity. The world does not respect what you permit out of fear. And here lies the real test. Can you be at peace with being misunderstood? Can you tolerate the silence that comes when you stop explaining? Can you live with people walking away because your standards are too high? Because that's the cost. That's the price of real presence, of genuine power. And it's a price most won't pay. But if you do, if you dare to pay that price, something incredible happens. Your life becomes clean, precise, sharpened to the point. You stop being scattered. You stop being pulled into noise. You stop being reduced to someone else's convenience. You reclaim your narrative. And suddenly the right people arrive. The ones who don't demand your energy but match it. Who don't beg for your time but earn it. Who don't push your boundaries but honor them. Because energy doesn't lie, and neither does silence. Let your absence educate them. Let your silence refine the room. Let your distance become the mirror that forces others to confront their own chaos. This is how leaders are made, not in noise, not in visibility, but in discipline, in consistency, in an unwavering refusal to betray themselves. You want respect? Then stop arguing for it. Stop apologizing for it. Start living it. Become so aligned with your own code that it would be impossible for someone to question your authority, not because you shouted, but because your life demonstrates it in every detail, in how you walk, in how you speak, in how you rest, in how you leave when something no longer aligns. Because the greatest lesson of all is this: what you tolerate teaches others how to treat you. And if you walk with that, if you make it your compass, then nothing, no opinion, no betrayal, no rejection can strip you of the respect that matters most, the kind you give yourself. And in that self-respect is the blueprint for how the world must engage with you. The clarity of your self-worth sets the tone. You don't need to yell about it. You don't need to demand it. It's in the way you withdraw from chaos without needing to explain why. It's in the way you uphold your schedule, your space, your silence, as if they were sacred. Because they are. When you realize your peace is a sanctuary, you stop opening the gates for just anyone. You stop inviting storms into places meant for stillness. You stop negotiating your value just to be liked. Respect does not bloom in noise. It grows in your quiet commitment to yourself. Let this be the final reminder. If people never fear losing you, they will never respect keeping you. The fear of loss isn't cruelty, it's clarity. It's the understanding that your presence is not guaranteed, that your patience has limits, that your love is a privilege, not a default. And that's what inspires respect, not because you are cold, but because you are whole. Wholeness is the real magnet. A person who doesn't chase, doesn't beg, doesn't shrink. A person who stands still and watches the world adjust to their gravity. That's what you've been called to become. Not an echo of what others expect, but the origin of what you deserve. So go ahead. Step fully into your presence. Speak only when it adds weight. Move only when it aligns. And disappear when your silence holds more power than your words ever could. That's the crown. That's the rule. That's the unspoken law that commands true, lasting respect. You will not need to ask for respect when you embody it. It becomes instinctive in the way others interact with you. It shows in the pauses they take before responding, in the tone they shift to when addressing you, in the effort they make not to waste your time. That is the quiet echo of authority. And yet this presence must be protected constantly. Not with aggression, but with alignment. Not with volume, but with consistency. You are the keeper of your dignity, not the world. It's your responsibility to make sure it is honored. And here's a truth you can tattoo on your soul. If your energy is spent proving your worth, you're not standing in it. Proof is for courtrooms. Worth is for warriors. The latter lives it, breathes it, carries it like a blade under velvet. So how do you remain in that power? With intention, with restraint, with strategy. Don't try to be everywhere. Be precisely where you are needed. Don't aim to be understood by everyone. Speak to those whose minds are capable of grasping your language. Don't dilute your message for broader appeal. Strength is clarity, not compromise. Your silence will do more for your respect than 1,000 speeches. Your absence will draw more attention than endless presence. Your boundaries will speak louder than your kindness ever could. This is the art of becoming unforgettable, not by being louder, but by becoming unmistakably clear in who you are. And when you do that, when you live as your own standard, you stop chasing what's fleeting. You stop explaining your worth. You stop hoping someone will finally recognize you because you've already done it yourself. And that is the final mastery. Self-recognition. The world bows to those who've already crowned themselves.